What's going on, y'all? It's Arsiney. Today I want to dive a little bit deeper into one of my favorite features in the Octane Plus workstation, and that is lo-fi. One of their really cool effects in that VST, and I think you guys are really going to love it. You're going to really enjoy all of the different possibilities that you have with this thing and taking your sound and taking your creativity to whole new heights. So let's jump right into this thing and I'll show you some techniques to help you get a really nice warm lo-fi sound using lo-fi in the Octane Plus suite. So right now I have Logic queued up and I have Octane Plus on the screen. Now the first thing you're going to want to do once you open up Octane is go right over to this last tab over here. You'll see it says lo-fi. So you just take a quick little click on lo-fi, and that will bring you to the lo-fi section of this VST. Now you have some controls here that can help you take a deeper dive into turning any one of the sounds in Octane Plus and giving it grit, hiss, wear, flutter, crackle, bit crusher, all of the really cool things that we love about transforming sounds into that nice, warm, retro, lo-fi effect. So let's take a look. Right here I have a melody queued up, and before we add anything to this melody, I'm gonna just play the melody for you so you can just understand the before and what it sounds like, and then we'll dive into how you can, make your adjustments to get that melody where you want it to be with lo-fi. All right, now we're gonna go over to lo-fi. So the first thing you're gonna do right over here where it says lo-fi, you're gonna turn lo-fi on, hit that button, and that will give you access to all of the different features in the lo-fi section. So as far as the feature set goes, you have hiss depth, you have wear, you have gain right over here. You have a section for your flutter control, you have a section for your crackle control, and you have a bit crusher section. So this is the piano without lo-fi on. And then this is it with lo-fi on. Now you can hear right off the bat it already sounds different. As soon as I get into the lo-fi section and I turn it on, I like to turn everything down. Now one of the things you want to look out for and be very careful is to not turn down this mix knob down here or the gain knob. I stay away from turning down anything that says mix or gain just because I don't want to turn off the sound. If you turn those things down, you won't be able to hear the preset itself. Just turn down everything that's just dealing with the effect. Like, so turn hiss depth down. You can turn down wow depth, rate, wow rate, the crackle amount, you can turn that down. And I will turn down the noise, and I'll leave gain, mix, and gain on. I'll usually start at bit crusher and just start playing with it. I mean, the best thing you can do is just start playing with these settings, and then you'll start to understand what each of these effects are actually doing to your sound and what direction you want to go in for that particular sound, because every sound is different. So we can start down here with bit crusher, and we can turn the bits all the way up, get that crackle sound really intense, or we can turn it down how many bits we want. We can turn the bit crusher rate down. That way we don't lose too much of the dynamics of the sound. If you turn the rate up, you're gonna get it's gonna be a lot more crunchy. And that may be what you're going for, but in this case, I do want to keep certain elements of the piano, so I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. There we go. You can adjust the noise type. So now I've made my adjustments in the bit crusher section. I usually like to do things on a very intense level and then start to dial it back. So this is with the mix knob turned all the way up. And then I'll start to dial things back a little bit. I think I like that right there. Just very subtle hissing and very subtle bits in that higher frequency range. And then I like to go over to crackle, so we can turn that up. Like I said before, I like to do things very intense and then dial it back. So we have depth turned all the way up. And we can turn up the amount. So you can have it very crunchy sounding, or you can dial it back a little bit. And then usually I'll take depth and turn that down a little bit too. So it's a little bit more ducked back and it's not in front of your sound. I don't like any of the effects in the lo-fi to be in front of my sound unless it's like the flutter or the wear. So let's just dial that back a little bit. And now we can play with the flutter. Now with the flutter, to describe it in simple terms, it's kind of like that wah effect on your sound. So if you're looking at my hands right now, how it's doing the wave, that's kind of like what your sound is going to be doing with flutter. It's going to be kind of like wah, 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 wah. So it's basically what it sounds like. That's what you're getting with flutter. Down here, you can adjust how fast you want that fluttering sound to happen. And by adjusting the wow depth, you can adjust if you want that sound to be pushed really forward into your sound or be ducked back behind your sound a little bit. So usually I'll turn the wow rate all the way up and then I'll start playing with the wow depth. Then we can play with this rate knob right here and adjust how fast we want it to go. And that's that for that. And then we can go over to this top part here where we have hiss depth, we have wear. So let's just start playing with these right here. Let's start off with wear. So wear is just basically going to take your sound and wear it out. What you're going to notice is the more you turn wear up, the more worn your sound is going to sound, pretty much lowering the velocity and making the volume sound a little bit lower. So it's going to sound a bit more like your sound is competing with all of these other effects down here. I would keep this kind of low. Something like that. Then we can add some hiss depth. Some nice, you can hear it now. Some nice warm background hissing. And that's basically it. So I'm going to show you what the sound sounds like without lo-fi on, and then I'll show you what the sound sounds like with lo-fi on. So this is the sound by itself. And this is with lo-fi on. And as you can hear, it sounds like a nice lo-fi piano now. One other really cool thing you can do is you can go over to the dynamics section of Octane Plus and you can play with the compressor a little bit and really take those background hissing sounds and boost those up, boost the velocity of those things up, and dial the piano, duck the piano back a little bit, and it'll give you a nice punchy, worn piano sound. So just to show you what that sounds like. So it's very subtle, but this is it without the compressor. And this is it with the compressor. So with the compressor, it makes things a little bit more punchy, and it brings those elements that are kind of tucked in the background, like the hissing and the crackling. It brings that up a little bit to meet the pianos, and it just sounds really infectious. It puts it right up there in your face where you want it to be. But yeah, that's Lo-Fi on Octane Plus. I hope you guys have a really good time using it. I know I have a really good time using it. It's a really good tool to really take any of these sounds to a whole new level. So I'll catch you guys in the next one.